Maybe you were not in St. Louis or anywhere along the path of totality. If not, I pray someday you make your way there. I experienced partiality back in '79. That was cool for me as a young man to see. But partiality was wanting in the light, or should I say in the dark, of what I experienced this past Monday afternoon. This reflection on that unforgettable event in the light of this gospel may miss the mark a bit for those of you who did not see it, and for that I apologize. But I also know that nature affords us opportunity after opportunity in other ways for those who take the time to get out there and let themselves see. One way or another, totality is available with all the aspects of the universe, really. Waking up at 2 a.m. and looking up at the night sky in a canyon in northern Idaho. I don't know totality more even than that. So you see, this is available in one way or another all the time if we get out there and let ourselves see. I don't know how to explain the inescapable lure that eclipses hold for us. Millions traveling from just down the street or from just across the world to witness what we witnessed. Lots of office chairs were empty during those magic 30 minutes. Even hospital beds were rolled to hospital windows. It seemed so brief. It seemed I wanted it to last forever. It seemed the moment it began, I was already somewhat sad that it was going to end so quickly. It seemed the moment was slipping through my fingers as I tried to grasp onto it to just make it last a little longer. It was an event that seemed like it somehow meant more that we saw it together. Factory workers alongside of scientists who stood alongside of atheists, who stood alongside of believers, and all shared something called wonder. One scientist wrote, "How can I watch the sun's disk disappear and maintain some semblance of calm? I was stunned by totality's shocking reversal of the world order." We had the same wonder, I dare say. Wonder brought us together. Wonder gave us a respite from the conflicts of our day. Wonder gave us the energy to go back and live again. The total eclipse of the sun by the moon, as seen from this beautiful planet, became, for most of us at least, the event of a lifetime. Wherever totality occurs, the sudden midday darkness recolors the landscape and confounds the senses. The marvelous coincidence that makes that enormous sun and that puny moon appear to be the same size in the Earth's sky, to create this dazzling vision that does not repeat from the vantage point of any other planet in our solar system but ours. It was just so crazy perfect. It was so crazy perfect that this happened at all. It was so crazy perfect that science can predict it down to the nanosecond. It was so crazy perfect that the clouds parted for so many at just the right time. It was so crazy perfect that we humans are here on this planet, of all the planets in our solar system, to see it, to witness it, to have this an amazing opportunity. Only when the sun's disk vanishes do we see the sun's glorious corona, that ordinarily invisible light surrounding our star, manifesting itself like never before, to dominate that darkening sky. The air chills, the mind reels. We see light like we've never seen light before in our lives. Particular planets appear, and stars too, as the sun's light dims. Somehow the bizarre effects, the beautiful effects, combine to produce euphoria. And I feel about as happy as I know how to be. Some said hundreds of people around them fell silent with awe. What I heard were cries of surprise, shouts of joy, cheers, even screams, and that was all from me. The familiar became unfamiliar, and we were at a loss for words, at least words that were coherent. I never said, "Oh my God," so many times and meant it. And afterwards, I found myself quiet. I found myself just wanting to go for a walk. I found myself actually taking a hike alone up to a ridge where I could look out at the sky that I had just seen so differently than I was seeing it now. It almost felt to me like we shouldn't have seen that. It was just too big, too sacred, too beautiful, that we really shouldn't have been privy to that. The precise predictability of the date and the duration of any given eclipse conflicts starkly with the unpredictability of the weather. I kept hearing weather forecaster after weather forecaster saying, well, weather permitting, and those two words gained an incredible new significance for me as a sun's permission, as the weather's permission rather, meant everything to me. I went to bed hoping I'd be able to see it tomorrow. I woke up in the morning hoping when I opened the curtains, or the blinds rather, and looked out, hoping that the sky would be blue, hoping. We crossed our fingers, we held our breaths, that the clouds would part and make way for the brother sun and sister moon to commence the dance. And I tried to memorize everything that I was seeing. Also, I enjoyed the company. I do believe that eclipse was meant to be shared. We all together looked skyward. For a matter of a couple hours, we were all looking up, not down, but up. And I believe that somehow matters more than we know. When the human family makes time to look up instead of just down. Jesus, in this gospel you just heard proclaimed, posed a question to his disciples. After they had these years of experience of him, he turned to them and said, "Who do you say that I am? Who do you say, now that you've seen what you've seen, tell me, who do you say that I am?" And I'd suggest to you, in the light of this gospel and that question, that God is asking us the very same question this morning. Having seen what we have seen, having witnessed what we witnessed on Monday afternoon, God is saying to us by name, "Gary, now who do you say that I am?" Now that you've seen what you've seen, who do you say that I am? I'm still trying to answer that question for myself. Again, words seem so puny against an immensity of what I saw and felt that I found humbling beyond words. But I wonder if you and I weren't somehow present at the creation of light and the making of dark. I wonder still if we didn't get a glimpse of the truth that's hidden just underneath this material universe, that's hidden in matter, a truth always being whispered and rarely heard. But maybe in the matter that we saw something of truth, a hidden order, a hidden something, knowable and understandable, and yet still so unknown. I found myself saying, God, you are so wonderful. You are so wonderful. You've made me one of the privileged ones that I could have been born into this galaxy and sustained in existence until these 140 seconds. Holy, creative abundance. There is no crown of any queen or king on the earth more beautiful than the crown around our sun in that moment of totality. There is no art by the greatest artist, no music by the greatest composer more exquisite than the composition of the music of the spheres. There is no more wonderful dancer who dances more profoundly than the way Brother Sun and Sister Moon danced that afternoon across the sky. And there's no authority, no power, no bigger than what we were part of and what we are part of still, all the time. And when I got back here and stopped in chapel later that evening, I turned on the lights and I didn't expect that the mural even would hit me in a new way. This mural that presides over our every gathering, it's built around a black dot right there in the middle at the top of that Paschal candle, a black sphere, a black circle, right there in the center of the whole thing. And all around it, almost like its own corona, an explosion of light, and all of it presided over by the moon and the sun. It came back to here with me in something I look at every day, all around that little eclipse of light, out of which all light came to be. That 140-second eclipse, a darkness visible, was enough, I believe, to sustain any of us for a long time. But if we let ourselves, what we know could lead us to what St. Paul must have felt when he exclaimed in this second reading you just heard this morning. This felt so different after Monday afternoon. Oh, the depth. Hold in your mind and your heart, if you would, what you saw, what you felt, if you were privileged to be there, as you hear these words. Oh, the depth of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God. How inscrutable are God's judgments, how unsearchable God's ways. For who has known the mind of the Lord? Who has been God's counselor? Or who has given the Lord anything that God could be repaid for all this? For from God and through God and for God are all things. And to God be glory forever. Forever. I believe that what we saw Monday afternoon, what we can see still if we get out there and look, is that we saw something of the soul of the cosmos.